Not quite the exam. Quite before the Geneva and
No, you don't have to write the end. I don't have a phone.
socialise.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Remembrance Day 2021. I would like to invite the serving men and women to march on.
Left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left.
God our help in ages past, our hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, and our eternal home. Beneath the shadow of thy throne, thy saints have dwelt secure. Sufficient is thine arm alone, and our defence is sure. Time like an ever-rolling stream bears all its sons away. They fly forgotten as the dream dies at the opening day. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come. Be thou our guide while life shall last, and our eternal home.
I'd now like to call on Mr. Clint Grace to read In Flanders Fields.
Thanks, Tom. Morning, everybody. In Flanders Fields, written by John McRae, a Canadian military officer and doctor. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high, if ye break faith with us who die. We shall not sleep through poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
Thanks, Clint. Now I'd like to call on the Mayor, Mr. Stephen Lawrence, to do his address. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom and Clint, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We gather in person today on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month to mark the 103 years since the moment guns fell silent on the Western Front after World War I. It's a day that is significant for communities across the entire country, small and large, yet no one can question the impact of World War I on the small towns of the then new country of Australia, an impact that now spans the generations. We gather in unity to remember and pay our respects to all the courageous men and women before us who selflessly put their life on the line for service of country. We take this day every year as an opportunity to reflect on those who served and sacrificed in all wars and conflicts. I'd like to congratulate the staff of Dubbo Regional Council and the Dubbo RSL Sub Branch for the organisation of today's event, particularly with the added guidelines and restrictions that COVID-19 now presents to us. As always, they have done a wonderful job. That also extends to Council's livability operations staff, who always make Victoria Park look so beautiful. In the first 4 years of the First World War, from 1914 to 1918, more than 330,000 Australians served overseas. More than 60,000 were killed, with another 152,000 wounded, gassed, or taken prisoner. That awful war formed a dark veil over our country for decades and generations to come. For Australia, there was, of course, more deep sadness to come. The Second World War saw 93,000 Australians serve in the armed forces, with more than 27,000 killed and a further 23,000 wounded. In Korea, of the 17,000 Australians who served, 340 were killed and 1,200 wounded. In the Vietnam War, some more than 60,000 Australian service personnel left our shores, with 520 of them never coming home. And in Afghanistan, there was 41 Australian soldiers to pay the ultimate sacrifice. Many of those who did return from our wars returned as changed people, having endured unthinkable things, a signal to us all of the legacy of what armed conflict can inflict on our national psyche and on individual people. I reflect and acknowledge today the impact of intergenerational trauma in your family, in our families. War in any form is a dreadful thing, yet there have been times in the past, and regrettably, surely into the future, when to stand up against tyranny is to stand up for freedom and the democratic society that we deserve. We can argue in a democratic society about good and bad wars. We should never argue about the spirit of sacrifice and service of country in armed conflict. No doubt the human spirit, the better angels of our nature, to serve country and fight for future freedoms was why so many young Australians put their hands up to enlist. As we look around today and reflect on our own recent battles against drought, mice plagues, and most recently the COVID-19 Delta outbreak, it's evident that a spirit is still present today in times of crisis or hardship. But that is not to compare. We should never compare. There is no higher ideal than service of country in war. Our troubled world is deeply split, sadly so, yet the nation state is our vehicle, the only vehicle, for building safe, healthy and happy lives. We honour those who have fought for it and we remember those who have died for it. These events each year remind us of the need to build and maintain community spirit in times of adversity. For us, it has been the most recent threat of the coronavirus pandemic, but there will be many more challenges to come. Unfortunately, that's life. We pause today to acknowledge what transpired in the trenches and on the battlefields of the First World War and for all those conflicts since, lest we forget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like the men's choir now to sing The Supreme Sacrifice.
One, two, three.
O valiant hearts, who to your glory came, through dust of conflict and through battle flame, tranquil you are, your knightly virtue proved, your memory hallowed in the land you loved. Splendid you passed, the great surrender made, into the light that never more shall fade. Deep your contentment in that blessed abode, who wait the last clear trumpet call of God. O risen Lord, O shepherd of our dead, whose cross has brought them and whose staff has led, in glorious hope their proud and sorrowing land, commits her children to thy gracious hand.
Thank you to the men's choir. Ladies and gentlemen, ex-service personnel, Mr Mayor, General Manager of Dubbo Regional Council, official guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'd like to say thank you for coming along today. The weather has been a little bit mixed up. We had the council workers here this morning and they made the decision to go ahead with the service here, which I'm glad they did. Lovely to see the school kids here that are going to be laying the wreaths. And once again, thank you for everyone that is here today. The red poppy has long been a part of Remembrance Day that marked the NSC on the 11th of November 1918 and is also increasingly being used as part of our Anzac Day services. During the First World War, the red poppy was among the first plant to spring up in the battlefields of the North in France and Belgium. In soldiers' folklore, the red of the poppy come from the blood of their, reckon that they come from the blood soaking in the grounds from their comrades. I would now ask you to lay your wreaths, please.
After the leads, there's a minute silence. Yeah. Is he announcing the last person? He's not announcing. Okay. I'm expecting just a minute and then someone will give me the nod.
I would now ask you to please stand. And we'll have a minute's silence. Thank you. They went with song to the battlefields. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end, against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the fro. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemned. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget. Please be seated. We'll move on to Australia My Country Awards, and I'd like to ask one of our sub-branch committee men to come out, David Hunt, to present these awards.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming. As part of the Dubbo RSL Sub Branch, we fund a competition called the Australia My Country competition, which we send out to all the schools in Dubbo and surrounding areas, and either individually or as a class, students, children enter either art, written compositions, poetry and whatever we have that works in with our nation as Australia, not necessarily from a military perspective, but also in other aspects. During that time, I picked two people who I think were exceptional, and I asked them to come along to today's ceremony to present their written compositions. And today, I'd like to first introduce Isabella McAllister and then Kate Pankhurst.
Our country, our love, hope and salvation. From the depths of time, the dreaming drifts on. From coast to coast, luscious lime green grass rolls into golden dust sprinkled over the aquamarine waters. The harsh rays tap dancing across the crystal surface of the ocean. The sun smiling through our sun-tanned skin. A mother to all, opening her arms like a parent to her baby, enveloping in a tender embrace to all who seek it, shattering the chains of violence, segregation and imprisonment. People originating from all around the globe, a pinch of spice from each country, all existing in harmony together like a fruit bowl. When a monster growls at the gates of our hallowed lands and conflict seems inexorable, we defend our salvation in love. We dig deep into our lives, initiating an incremental incision. The valiant soldiers send glory bound. On the fields of dastardly disaster, lay the barking of rifles, the wailing of grenades as they strike our comrades, the roar of guns swallowing the landscape. Down, down, down. Our mates, there 1 minute, gone the next. The torrent of red oozing across Flanders Fields from our fallen friends and foes. All life sucked out of the land, consumed by merciless, futile, atrocious warfare. And when the fire spreads, carrying word of no return, the futile inevitability of the situation almost certain. Families ripped apart like Velcro. A mother's grief, a waterfall rushing from her misty eyes. The immeasurable pain stabbing right through the heart. A silent prayer, an angel sent to heaven out of a mother's passion. Yet they offer their hearts on a silver platter, sending their sons to battle the savage beast, all for their country's love and salvation. Till the beast is slain, opening like a blossom, harmony, peace, prosperity to the land we call home. Our home, land, love and land, Australia. Thank you.
And now for Kate Pankhurst.
100 years of fighting. The snow lay in heaped drifts across the fields. Trees lay smashed over the roads and not a single sound could be heard. The harsh cold bit his cheeks as he waited. His hands were frostbitten and the gun covered in ice. Warmth was now luxurious thought in these damp, dark trenches. The Somme would never be the same. The hot desert wind created sand dunes across the fields. Buildings, cars and tanks lay strewn across the plains. The hot air stung her cheeks as she waited. Her hands were cracked and dry from the relentless wind as she held her sand-covered gun. Now she wished more than ever for the coolness of air conditioning. Afghanistan would never be the same. He thought about his family back in the quiet town of Melbourne. He never thought he would ever long for the dusty air of the farm, to harvest the wheat just once more. He looked down at his Australian Army issue watch. 10:59am, 11th of November, 1918. He paused, watching the hand as it jaggedly ticked closer and closer to the top. A trumpeting call rang out across the freezing fields. The war was over. She thought about her family, back in the bustling city of Sydney. The smells here were unfamiliar, and now, more than ever, she wished to smell the polluted air of Sydney just once more. She looked down at her Boursier watch, a gift from her father before she left. 10:59am, 11th of November, 2018. She sighed, watching the hand glide smoothly closer and closer to the top. A sharp beep alerted her that it was 11am. She listened, hoping for silence, but there was none, just the sound of guns firing round after round of bullets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's us for Australia, my country. Something we're very proud of as a sub-branch, and I encourage others for next year to answer. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, David, Isabel and Kate. I'd now ask you to please be standing. And I would ask the men's voice choir to sing Advance Australia Fair and God Defend New Zealand.
1, 2, 3.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, Advance Australia fair.
1, 2, 3.
God of nations, at thy feet, in the bonds of love we meet. Hear our voices, we entreat. God defend our free land. God Pacific's triple star, from the shafts of strife and war, make her praises heard afar. God defend New Zealand.
Thank you. Please be seated. I'd just like to thank our ex-service personnel in front of us here. Thanks very much, guys, for coming along today. To you, Mr. Mayor and General Manager, thank you very much for the support that you give us for Anzac Day and Remembrance Day, and also having our Cenotaph area looking immaculate all the time. To your Parks and Garden personnel, thank them, please, Murray, and also, Mr. Mayor, to the administration staff that have stood by us for years and years, and I'd just like to thank them very much. To ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much. To all the schools, thank you very much for coming along and laying a wreath to remember our fallen, and it makes the ex-service personnel very pleased to see that our youth are involved with our services. To our men's choir, once again, thank you very much. To the Air Cadets for looking after our catapult party, thanks very much again. And the last thing I'd like to say is to the guys in front of me here and the ladies, thank you for your service. Thank you. That concludes the Remembrance Day for 2021. Thanks very much.
Same thing at Anzac Day last year. I was pretty amazed to do it. Whole band, a couple of services. What a march.